Hi, my name is Michelle George, and I am a Shopify Plus partner manager on the North America team. Shopify is a complete commerce platform that lets you start, grow, and manage your business globally. My role at Shopify is to work with our strategic partners to support high growth, high volume merchants and help them find long-term solutions to their biggest roadblocks. I have the privilege of working with some amazing merchants and partners, two of which I'm excited to introduce you to today. So joining us are Sean and Paul from Shopify Plus agency Fyresite and Cody with Chassis Unlimited to discuss their experience and insights around migrating from Magento to Shopify Plus. So let's get started with the discussion and all of your questions. So first question for Cody. Can you start by telling us a little bit more about Chassis Unlimited and an overview of your e-commerce operations?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a automotive aftermarket product manufacturer with a heavy focus on truck bumpers. We have been operating on an e-commerce website for the last 10 years plus and have had our fair share of ups and downs along with it. But pretty much our entire operation is based off of our website, whether it's a wholesale order or a retail order. Everything's pretty much circled around our main website. So every order is fulfilled and input through that system.
So Cody, you were previously a Magento customer. What was your experience like?
Magento, it was a really great platform. However, it pretty much was nonstop maintenance and you're constantly wondering if the website was going to be working over the night or the next morning or what kind of hiccups you may come into. It was really customizable, which was really great. But for someone that's actually, running a business, it was really hard to keep the upkeep up on it.
So this question's for Fyresite, who's been helping Chassis Unlimited with this migration. So question for Sean or Paul, what does the maintenance look like for the average Magento customer?
Magento maintenance is, it's something that's not done monthly or quarterly. Sometimes it's a daily. It's a daily development lift for a lot of high volume merchants. So it's a combination of security patches, really complex hosting, high developer costs and lead times. That's a big, probably one of the biggest factors I think with any Magento client is finding coverage when they need a developer in a pinch, because normally things in Magento, they come on really suddenly. And when you have a major outage on holiday weekend, when you're running a sale, like that could be the make or break for your month or your quarter or your year. And I think that's a major factor. And it's also just the anxiety, I think, around that, not being able to take a vacation, worried about, at what level. A common question we get with Magento, people looking to migrate off Magento, is how complex our service level agreements are. And it's like, we have a great service level agreement, but we hardly have any clients that never need to utilize it because the platform's not going down on a daily or monthly basis. So I think those are some of the biggest things that they come across. And I think overall with maintenance, because of the new required upgrades with Adobe, it's a very expensive upgrade without much benefit to the merchants themselves. So if you're gonna spend that time and effort to make the upgrade, it would make sense to move off of a platform that has a lot of limitations and use that budget in other places.
So given that and those kind of common issues, Cody, what was your breaking point in making the decision to re-platform to something other than Magento?
Yeah, pretty much exactly what Sean said. It would be any time that with Magento that you wanted to do an update or install another app or even a simple search update, or let's just say add a product, it would possibly crash the entire website. Dealing with different avenues down the entire line of hosting, email server, maintenance, a front-end developer. It was really something that needed a lot of attention. A great breaking point for us was that we've made the step from Magento 1 platform to Magento 2. That was a huge restructure. That was good for a couple years, maybe 2 at the most, and then we started having all these issues with security patches. And now they're like Sean said, we brought Adobe on board, and they said, "Oh, we're going to redo the whole thing." That was kind of a breaking point for us. Not to mention that you really couldn't make it a night without thinking about whether that site was going to be up in the morning or what feature may not work. You might be able to add a product to your cart and not be able to check out, or maybe you had someone adding product during your business hours yesterday, and the entire system kind of glitched out and you didn't catch it, and now you're wondering why. You're like, something's a little funny here, and you got 50 people calling wondering why they can't complete their cart or check on the orders. It just really it took a lot of developed time to be able to get to a point that was similar to just plug and play websites. It was very customizable though, but that's about what I have to say about Magento.
So question for Fyresite. You work with a lot of brands who are looking to move off of Magento. Are there any other common reasons why? Anything else that you hear?
Absolutely. So we are working with a couple merchants currently that we're kind of talked into a headless implementation, but the implementation was leveraging WordPress and Magento. So now they're maintaining two complex CMSs and then combining that into a headless implementation, which is extremely expensive to do and really inefficient when you're talking about having content on one product detail page coming from two CMSs. It's extremely complex, and then again, you're maintaining two CMSs that both require a lot of maintenance. They're both based on open source technology, right? And open source has a very rapid iteration, which can be a good thing. It can also be a nightmare. We manage a lot of clients in WooCommerce as well, and the constant updates are great for the platform, but it's not great for the merchant because you're constantly updating things, and there are some things that you may be the focal point of your customer journey. You're leveraging multiple apps to do that, and if those apps go down, well, that's a big hit on your potential conversion rate. So there's a lot of people that some developers may, because they can't handle the developmental lift of a complex store, they may leverage other technologies to make it easier, but in the end, it hurts the merchant because they're stuck managing that long term. And that's probably one of the most common things I've seen. I've seen 3 of those sites in the last 2 months.
Yeah, that and just developer costs in general. Because working on a Magento store takes a lot of specialized knowledge. The file system's overly complex, and then you're gonna have to pay somebody for that knowledge and time. So that eats into your costs as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. The overall, cost of ownership is something that we have a lot of conversations with here at Shopify when we're talking with customers that are looking, to re-platform. So, Cody, what were some of the important, what you call features or functionality that were important to you when you're thinking of moving off of Magento?
Yeah, moving off of Magento, we were really looking for something that was extremely user-friendly on the front end and the back end. We had a really hard time getting a great user experience on the front side of Magento. It took a lot of front end work just to get kind of a mediocre front end that was informative of our products and showing the customer, and then let alone the entire back end of Magento really was hard. You couldn't pick an employee or a person of any type to add a product without possibly damaging your entire catalog. Moving over to Shopify was one of the biggest things, was the simplicity of it, that it really is kind of a standalone feature. I don't have to go to another place for hosting, another place for email, another place to load products on. That was kind of something we were looking for. Another thing with moving off Magento, if you wanted to have an app installed or a feature, a checkout, maybe go to a one-step checkout or a transactional email chain, you had to have a developer do that. There was no plugging in. You would just destroy it. So moving, those are definitely some of the key highlights. Really looking for something that is going to be constantly updated on its own and not have problems. Something that you can put any person to say, hey, add these 10 products, add these 100 products, and they're going to work and they're going to look great on the other side. But functionality aside, really being able to come up with a clean front end that can show our customers who may have clicked the website from a link from a Google ad or somewhere where they have never heard of us before, being able to show those customers exactly what our product is, who we are, and get a feel for our brand, which was really hard to do with Magento. Everything just looked so commercialized, if you will. It's just a very, a blank slate. It seemed like with Shopify, we were able to really get a really vibrant front end, a lot of info, a lot of content rows. That was really one of the bigger things for sure.
Got it. So, is there anything that you wish you'd known before migrating to Shopify Plus, or any advice that you'd give to others that might be in that position where they're looking to make a similar transition?
I think it really wasn't too rough of a decision, really. There's not a lot of hosted platforms that are customizable. So that was really one of the biggest things, was that we were a little bit worried internally that it wouldn't be customizable the way we wanted to. And we've learned through Fyresite that is completely not the case, especially with the Shopify Plus. You really can pretty much get whatever you want out of it. We have a pretty complex product and catalog. It's not the largest catalog out there. The products are definitely kind of complex. So that was really something that we took a lot of weight on. That was like, okay, can the platform handle our product? Can it be presented well on the front end as well as the back end? But really, going over from Magento to the Shopify Plus was a great choice. We feel it was amazing so far. I think that anyone that's looking to do it should definitely heavily weigh having a Plus even over just a regular Shopify level. It definitely adds a lot more customization. And I feel like that was one of the things we had really no idea about until we had a consultation with Fyresite, and they said, hey, with the Plus, you're going to be able to change all these things that you want to look for like you did in Magento, and that we were able to basically create custom searching, custom tagging, custom meta information, a whole front end. And that was something that we hadn't even ever considered Shopify for, because we didn't know that was even possible. So I'd say that if you're looking to have something like that, that would be definitely great advice to look at the Plus platform and be able to take the customization to where you want it to be.
Yeah, that's incredible. Fyresite, kind of similar question, just positioning it to you. What do you tell the brands that you partner with who are about to re-platform?
I would say, me and Paul can both speak on this, but I think, a big component to all that is have a plan, have a detailed plan, work through your business operations, work through, things that, just because a lot of times when people have worked in the same system for 10 years, they forget about things just because they're so used to doing them, and they don't realize there's a lot of things that need to be in scope so you're not basing the project around a lot of assumptions. You want to have a really fine-grained approach, because then you can really be successful with your implementation. Plan, and then plan again, and then plan again after that, and then meet about it, and do another plan on top of that. And then that way you won't be creating a ton of technical debt over the development process. When you start leveraging a lot of assumptions, that's a great way to either have a negative experience on either side, or create a ton of technical debt where that could have gone towards making the website awesome, and then it went into rebuilding or refactoring something that wasn't planned. That's probably one of my biggest ones. And Paul can speak to that, I think, on the design side. I think that's a really big component as well, is improving upon what you have instead of moving it.
Yeah, I think when a brand's trying to re-platform, I think the most important thing is just to have everyone involved as informed as possible. So the goal would be to have no unanswered questions about what's involved, how much it will cost, how long it will take. So that's answering their questions and then asking the right questions in return, just so we can gather as much information as possible and kind of come up with a comprehensive scope of work. And then once you have that, you can pretty much quantify the work itself and then estimate a timeline from there.
So Cody, how's the new website functioning? Is there any early insights or wins that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So far, we're loving it. It's a night and day. Just like Sean had just touched on, there's so many issues that we don't even have to look at now. No more technical problems. I can pick anyone to add products to our website, and they immediately function and look great. Working in the back end, super, super easy. Zero glitches so far. Anything we've needed, we've been able to pretty much solve on our own, which is rare. No more 10 o'clock at night on a Friday day messaging a web developer like, hey, we can't add a product, something's not right, orders aren't coming through with information. With Shopify Plus so far, we've really had a great experience all the way from implementation to uploading products to migrating our data. It's been great. I mean, it really is a smooth platform. It's almost, I was telling Sean the other night, it's actually almost unreal that it's so smooth and that we're able to not have to think about this website so far. It's a really great feeling for sure. After 10 plus years of every day dealing with a developer, it's been a really great solution. And I think the biggest win for us really on this one is just ease of use, and everything is looking really good on the front end of our website. We're able to add so much custom content to our products. Now when a customer comes to our website, we can pretty much adjust each product to show the highlights, to show product information, and really captive that user experience per product, which is really cool. So I'd say that's probably the biggest win, but ultimately ease of use has been really good so far.
Awesome. That's so good to hear. So we have had a lot of audience questions submitted, and what we did and thank you so much for sending in all of your questions. We had a lot of similar questions, so we tried to bucket them, and in the for timing, what we'll do is just get to the top ones where we saw some key themes. So I guess this is really a question for everyone. Was there anything that kept you up at night when migrating over from Magento to Shopify? Maybe we'll start with Cody, and then hopefully Fyresite doesn't be kept up at night. But if there is anything to add, please jump in.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that we were really concerned with was how search functionality was going to work. Obviously, with Magento, it's a pretty rudimentary setup where it's just kind of drag and drop and playing around with. Where you move over to Shopify, you have a lot of collections. That was really hard to wrap our heads around with figuring out how the search system was going to work. And it's been 10 years of Magento, and we still don't have a great search or mega menu or drop down features. And Fyresite was really able to knock out a really great system for that. But other than that, really was just worrying about whether the Magento site was still going to make it through the transition. We're a couple weeks in here, couple months, and we're on the last straw whether that Magento site is going to be functioning, and we might be down right now while we're talking about it. So that was probably definitely one of the bigger things keeping us up at night. But as far as migrating our data over was a big task. Luckily, they were able to really take care of us on that. And we kind of filtered through and approved it and modified as it was entered. But for the most part, it's been smoother than we had anticipated. So we feel confident that the site will be taking us to the next years with easily no maintenance.
Awesome. So Fyresite team, what's the scale and the scope to transfer from Magento to Shopify? I mean, is it all manual? What does that look like?
It really depends on the individual merchant situation, right? Because there's e-commerce is at all scales, right? You could have a high volume merchant that sells one product. You could have a merchant that has 90,000 products that's relatively low volume. And your migration is going to be based around the lift on all sides, right? So if it's, and there's also there's a scalability aspect of some merchants. It might make more sense to manually enter their products if they have 100 or 200 products, because creating a really complex migration script coming from a Magento site that wasn't following best practices could be an 80-hour process for a senior dev to do. So entering products manually at that point totally makes sense. But if you have 90,000 products, absolutely, we'll bring in the senior devs. They'll write a whole migration plan around that, and we'll import everything programmatically. It's really figuring out budget-wise what actually makes the most sense. And then also, if you have a really dated catalog and you sell something like Cody has a lot of high-ticket products, well, it makes sense to really go and improve those products and help educate, as he was speaking on. Increase the education, figure out where your holes are as far as support and where all your questions are coming from, and then let's figure out ways that we can answer those questions easily for the person that's a potential buyer, because that increases in conversions, and also it frees up Cody and his staff because they're not answering support questions all day. It's allowing them to go and make new products, and it's allowing them to really make their business great, not just answering questions of like, how do I find this product on the website? Even though it's actually there.
Yeah, we're constantly getting people looking for products on the website that can't find it. Could be right in front of their face, and just because it's so simple, they can't see it. With Shopify, we'll be able to show them a picture, a great. You'll be able to see it, a picture, a description, some content. That was really a big thing with that.
Yeah, and we really work through different personas. So, I come from really a heavy automotive background. My family owns a shop as well. So I reached out to a number of people that are at different points of people. I talked to people that be, potential B2B clients, direct to consumer, and we kind of figured out different navigation flows that are based on those personas. So I have a friend who runs a very large set of dealerships for custom trucks. And, I would reach out to him and I was like, well, how would you want to break down the site? He's like, well, I want to see everything available for a Dodge. So we have a whole collection that's literally just around Dodge. So because he might have 25 trucks on the lot or in that region, they may want to go and they want to buy products for all of them. So, and then we have different drill downs for the direct consumer, right? The direct consumer, we give them a much simpler flow where, like, let's say you want to buy the steps, we create a custom app that takes all the simple products that are like the 75 steps that Cody makes. And we created a make year and model dropdown that works in a product detail page. So it still works for his his B2B model, which was they need to be simple products so that you can export it and it continues him to grow on the B2B side, then allows the end user to not have to look through 75 products to find the one that they need for their vehicle.
And that was a big thing with functionality that we were unaware that was even possible with Shopify, and it's proven great so far. And that was like Sean touched on, our product. We were one of those people that had all these technical issues with our products. They're out of date. While our catalog is not huge, we're working with about 400 SKU numbers. Shopify was actually able to simplify that, and we took from about 475 individual SKU numbers, and we're able to simplify that down. And Sean, I think we're about 175 or something like that. We were able to keep the same SKU numbers, but instead of having individual content listings, be able to actually have them grouped together, which was huge. Like Sean just said, we took 75 individual product template listings and created an app, a filter that would be a one product template listing on the front end, and people can find their product based through that. And that's something that would be a nightmare to Magento. It would never work. So that's a really good thing right there. Absolutely.
Well, and it avoids like having to go to a search results page or anything as well, because it's actually it's a search within the product detail page, which is really cool because automotive has a lot more complexities when you start really working into like the requirements of the product. If you're in fashion, you're only going to have so many variations.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of complexity when we start talking about automotive. You have different looks, you have different finishes, you have stuff like sensors and all these other things that could impact the SKU, and it can be really hard to navigate if every single one of those is a separate product in a collection page or a category page.
Absolutely.
So I guess this is a question more for Sean and Paul. As you're very consultative about, as you're speaking with merchants, we had a lot of audience questions that came in very similar about what to consider, what to expect. So what are the most important things that you would say to consider when a merchant is really considering moving off of Magento?
I could take this one. I would say obviously cost is a big one. The time commitment necessary to see it through, whether it's your time or your team's. You need to think about why you're considering the migration in the first place, because most likely you're fed up with one aspect or another of your platform. And is it worth the time and money to take care of those problems? And then kind of touching on what Cody said, on the other hand, there may be some problems solved that you weren't even aware that were problems because you're so used of doing it in, a certain way.
Workarounds.
Yeah. So I think, if you're seriously considering a migration, you should definitely consult with a trusted Shopify partner so you can, make the most informed decision.
That is a perfect lead in to one of the last questions that we have here. So we've talked a lot about the evaluation process, things to consider, pitfalls to previous platforms and those breaking points. But what about the considerations of picking an implementation partner? So maybe Cody, let us know kind of what your evaluation process looked like there when you were thinking of partnering with an agency like Fyresite. And they may have some good advice too for anyone that's listening that's thinking about that as part of their decision-making factor as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to be completely honest, starting out looking at Shopify, maybe even a couple of years ago, we really didn't know that the Plus system had been around, or that there was these approved partners that could implement this and take it. We always thought that it would have to be someone internally that would have to be creating the site and creating the front end and doing that. Working with these guys has been awesome. Fyresite's been really good. We did look at a couple others in the very early stages and kind of didn't really get a feel that anyone really felt our product line. After talking with Sean, Paul, and Jason, who's on the meeting, about what functionality we needed, we really had a firm grasp that they were going to be able to give us what we needed. Talking with a lot of, kind of smaller developers and people that were kind of doing clothing sites and sites that are relevant to the automotive world, really didn't get the feel that they understood how our navigation, how our product line was, the options, and really what we wanted the overall user experience to feel like. So I feel like once we chatted with Fyresite about that, we got a pretty good grasp on that they were going to be able to fulfill what we wanted, as well as create the front end to mimic what our customers ultimately want to see and feel when they're coming to our site blind, and that was a big lack we had with Magento. You may be knowing what you're looking for, or you may have a specific vehicle that you're wanting to put a bumper on, or a set of steps, or a product on, but you may click onto our website and not learn what you wanted, and you're off in 5 seconds. Now, with what they've created, we have a lot of content. Your average page time, is instead of being a click and a leave, 5 seconds later, you may have a minute worth of content to skim through and read and learn and watch a video. That's really beneficial to us. And we didn't feel that we would be able to get that through any other partner, let alone being able to work with an approved partner. Really gave us confidence that if we had any issues, this company's still going to be around. And that was something we ran into with Magento a lot, was a lot of people wanted to outsource stuff. People, when they did outsource things, really had a hard time keeping the same person on the task. Everything would always be different, lost in translation. We haven't had any of that work with Fyresite. It's always been the same faces we're seeing, the same phone calls we're getting with these guys. A familiar, they're happy to talk to us, willing to listen to our requests. And that was really big for us. We're very busy. So having someone that we didn't have to repeat ourselves to every day was great, and our contact with them has been extremely well. So it's been really good.
Excellent. Well, and Fyresite, just sort of to flip this around, is there anything else that you would recommend that merchants maybe consider when they're looking at various options for implementation, do it yourself versus bringing in, an agency partner? What do you recommend that merchants, put in their due diligence there?
I would say the merchants definitely, the first and foremost, they should really, kind of work through the business plan. They work through your business. Where do you want to go? What does the next 3 years look like? Not the next, 30 days. Like, that's the first place to start, because then you can really look at the cost evaluation of what the website's going to be. Our websites traditionally age extremely well. Our websites, even our current website's 5 years old. And most people think it's a current website, but it ages well. So if you want to have a really good return on your investment over time, and if you only have to redesign your site every 5 or 6 or 7 years versus redoing it every year just to barely improve that side of it, that's really what when you evaluate the cost. Bringing in a partner, a qualified partner, can give you that look and also give you a great return on your investment, because it's going to last substantially longer than if you go with an outsource plan or a freelancer. Yes, they may be able to provide you a decent site in the moment, but they're not going to have a complex plan, an iterative design process where it really are taking where you're currently at and building it into something greater. right? Some people will say, I want to migrate. Well, migration isn't just plugging in from A to B. You should be, calculating everything you can as like where all your pain points are and trying to fix at least the majority of them in that first implementation, and then moving into something like continuous improvement plan where you keep measuring the success of the site and improve it over time. It's not going to be perfect on that first day of launch. It's really what you do after that. That's going to be the success of your business overall.
Awesome. Well, I think we're about at time. This has been really great. I just want to say thank you so much, first of all, to the audience for your engagement and all of your great questions. And also, Cody, thank you so much for just sharing your story and more about the site. We're super excited to see how your business grows, now that you've moved off of Magento to Shopify Plus.
Absolutely.
I just want to say it's a pleasure working with the Fyresite team, and really excited about the future of your business and the ways that you're going to help merchants like Cody continue to grow and scale. So thank you so much. And we look forward to discussing any other questions that we didn't get to. There will be a recording of this presentation sent to all the participants, as well as a link that you can click on to get more information about migration. And again, we look forward to discussing any of your questions in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right, thank you.